We believe health is the foundation that unlocks freedom. The freedom to live fully, to be an asset and not a burden, and to chase what truly matters. Through daily practices and proven frameworks, we are here to help you build deep health, find lasting peace, and live with your heart on fire. Welcome to the chase. Hello and welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, and how are you, Ben?
Doing great. Thanks, Patrick.
Good to see you, bud. All right, my friends, we have your questions in the queue this time around. We've got our AMCAP 20 format. AMCAP 20 is just when we answer as many questions as we can inside of 20 minutes. Your questions more specifically. If you'd like to get a question into the queue, sign up for our newsletter, chasingexcellence.email. I'll send out an email every single weekend with a link to a form, and you can submit as many as you'd like. And we thank you in advance for doing so. We've got a handful of good questions. We're just going to jump right in. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Starting the clock. First one's from Joe. I'm in my early 40s and a lifetime bachelor. Ever since I started taking my health and fitness more seriously over the last 5 years, I found myself more attracted to women who also prioritize health and fitness. If I'm going to date someone, I'd rather it be someone who is active and eats healthy versus a couch potato who eats processed garbage every day. To me, it's about maintaining a lifestyle. I often get criticized by some of my friends who accuse me of trying to use this as an excuse to eliminate women who don't fit society's standard of attractiveness. I was curious what you guys thought about using health and fitness as a tool to find a potential partner.
So he said, you guys, so I'll let you take a crack at it too, but Yoon's guys.
All right, I'm happy to chime in, but you go first.
Pittsburgh. Joe, I think this is as valid of a qualifier as anything else. Yeah. Like, we want to align ourselves with people that have the same values. So if you were, and it doesn't have to be spot on. You don't have to get somebody that's going to go to the gym 5 days a week, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to get somebody that's going to resent you for going to the gym 5 days a week. It's the same type of thing as, like, you love hunting. You don't need to go somebody that's going to go on hunts with you, but you can't get somebody that's going to, like, berate you for being cruel to animals. Like, we need alignment of values. Like, that is, in terms of building a business, that's what you hire for. You hire for people that get it, want it, capacity to do it, but that also align with your values. So your values are health and wellness. It would be so weird to not spend your meaningful time and potentially a life partner, which is the number one most important decision you will make in your life. Yep. Beyond your job, beyond where you live, beyond anything else you do, who you have for a life partner will have more impact on your life, happiness, health, fulfillment, joy, passion than anything. So if you value health and wellness and you feel like a healthy lifestyle is something that is meaningful to you, then absolutely it is a very useful tool. And people that don't have those values aren't going to understand that. That's like saying, somebody that is super religious talking to me about that. I'd be like, I don't quite get that. I'm not going to say that, but it sounds like somebody that goes to church and thinks that, all the rest, that seems like it would be good for you to find someone like that. And again, just to say, it doesn't have to be somebody that acts and is as passionate about it, but as long as they're supportive and, I would like to find somebody that would participate as well. So the only other thing I would caution against, and where I say that is, there's no such thing as perfect. Like, you're not going to find the exact person. But if that person is sort of the 80-20, right, then you can try to mold the last 20.
They're 20% clay.
Yeah, exactly. And you should be 20% clay as well, right?
Yeah,
like that's kind of the deal.
Yeah.
So your take on it?
Yeah, no, unsurprisingly, I think we are on the same team here. We're on the same side. I think it's really important to make sure that you think about, or that Joe thinks about, your point, which is it doesn't have to look exactly like the thing that you do. If you're CrossFit 6 times a week and she is yoga 3 days a week and 3, running sessions, cool. Maybe there's a place that one day down the road you meet in the middle somewhere and you're more alike. But I think that the mentality and the philosophy that this is an important thing is the thing. And beyond that, that's where the fun is going to be. And so as long as Joe's not limiting himself to only fit people who eat like I do and train like I do, then yeah, this is like everything is a filter. And so what are the filters what other filters could he put in between him and a potential partner? It could be any number of things. Job, it could be religion, to your point. It could be how important family is. It could be any number of things. And health and wellness, that being like, that's a fantastic filter to put into that conversation or into that mix. Maybe not the only one, but certainly a really important one, especially as Joe's saying, like it's important to him. So of course it should be important to the person he decides to spend this much time with.
Spot on. Yeah. And maybe it's kind of like, it's not necessarily the question is not health. It's values, right? Like, if you're looking for a life partner, do they want kids or do they not want to have kids?
Yeah.
If this is really important for you on one way or the other, and it's not, and the other person's the opposite, like that's going to cause some fundamental clashes.
Yep.
Politics, like not who's on, not right and left, but do politics matter? Should we have this conversation? That's if you don't have that understanding that this is something I really think is important that I'm going to lean into, charity, religion, whatever it might be.
City versus country.
Right? Yeah, right. Like all those things are really important to understand. And yeah, that's what we should be, along with along with attractiveness. And if that's what you also find attractive, then yeah, these are the important things to measure a potential partner with.
Yeah. We're with you, Joe. Keep it up. Good luck to you. Next question is from John. I've been doing the CrossFit thing in the gym for a while, but I'm pushing 40 and I've experienced a shift in the things I do outside the gym, mainly from young guy sports like basketball, soccer, and skiing to old guy sports. He I just realized you said skiing. You can argue with him if skiing is a
that's a young guy sport. I agree.
To old guy sports like golf, tennis, and softball. I'm starting to notice some imbalances and pain, especially in my hips and shoulders, that I believe, other than just getting older, stem from these quote-unquote old guy sports being more rotational, mostly in one direction. Any tips or things I could try to offset or correct these imbalances?
Yeah, I've never thought of rotational sports as old guy sports, but when you kind of lay it out there, it's pickleball, golf, tennis. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily from the rotational sports or it's from just adding another decade onto your life. And it's probably could be a little bit of both. When a little bit of both match together, 1 + 1 can equal 3 or 4. So it might be that type of thing. The really short, quick answer to this is, it's fairly obvious to me, maybe it's not, but is to add in some unilateral stuff into your training. So what that means is where you work one side at a time. So think of it in terms of a Bulgarian split squat versus a squat. A Bulgarian split squat being basically a lunge position with your back leg elevated. That helps the body kind of work on one side, and a lot of the imbalances that you might have from rotational sports can't overcompensate the way they would in a bilateral movement like a squat. Meaning, if you're doing these unilateral, like you're a pitcher, a Major League Baseball pitcher, and you're right-handed, your right shoulder, your right arm, your right glute, everything is gonna be so like overdeveloped on one side. Your other side is not necessarily. If you do squats, body's gonna kind of overcompensate to the strong side. Your body's really smart. It's gonna try to protect against all the weaknesses. The way you counteract that, the way you navigate around that to not let the body do that, is to do unilateral stuff. And it's also really important for injury prevention. This is what they're finding a lot as the technology gets better and better in terms of diagnostic tools for muscles, muscular imbalances, joint structures, and all the rest, is if somebody has imbalances, they're more likely to get hurt. Because think of like a football player that's running at top speed. If their right leg is so much stronger than their left, basically their left can't keep up with the speed that's being generated through that right leg. And that's when a hamstring or a hip flexor or a calf or Achilles might pop up. So there certainly is a time and a place for unilateral stuff. Again, one side at a time. So what that might look like is, instead of doing barbell strict presses, do one arm dumbbell standing, push presses. Maybe we take that even to the next level and we do it with a staggered stance, right? With opposite leg forward. We do some presses in a kneeling position with basically one foot flat and the other knee on the ground. I hope you can envision that position.
Yep.
And you press with the leg, you press with the arm that is with the knee on the ground. Kneeling one arm strict presses. So these are, I think it's one of the things that CrossFit has not done a very good job of is working on unilateral stuff.
Yeah.
I understand why. They have an over bias towards power production, and you can produce more power when you are in a bilateral stance. So that's why it's there. For accessory work, this is really cool, good stuff that John could incorporate more into to help kind of prevent against this. Other things would be some you're doing so much rotational stuff to do some anti-rotational stuff. So holding like a Pavlov presses, like holding a cable or a band where your body is perpendicular to where the band is coming from, and you're pressing the band out and away from your chest, trying to resist against the rotation of the band pulling you back across.
Got it. That's what you mean by anti-rotational.
Anti-rotation stuff, yeah. Side planks would be kind of like that unilateral one side midline stability stuff. But yeah, there's this thing called getting old, and aches and pains are part of that. So the other part is just this realization, John, that this is I don't want to shy away from, there is just a reality to life that what is happening once you go past a certain age, midlife, it is decline. And this is like, people don't want to accept this, but it's a really important part of accepting. This is why it doesn't necessarily make sense for people to continue to try to, why am I not PRing? Why am I not doing this? Like, dude, like all you do is maintain, or not even maintain, slow the decline.
Yeah.
If you, Patrick, with your capacity right now, if you were to sign up for any athletic event, and this isn't a knock on you, you'd probably come in middle of the pack in any athletic event, right? Whether it's a triathlon, a weightlifting competition, whatever it might be. If you are able to maintain your physical performance capacity for the next 50 years, they're going to make movies about you. You would be the fittest human being alive. So part of it is just truly slowing down decline. What comes along with that? The recognition that we are declining. Like, this is that optimistic mindset versus the realist mindset. The realist goes, hey, this is what's happening. Okay, accept it. I can't change reality, but what can I do to bring my best self towards this? As opposed to like, I'm going to PR, and you get hurt, optimist, and now you're cracked because you didn't have the right mindset about the whole thing.
Yeah. Slow the decline. That's the new marketing slogan. Slow the decline.
It's so inspiring, right?
You're going to sell lots of memberships with that. Let's pause to say thanks to a few sponsors, and we'll be right back to the conversation. We're brought to you by Element, the clean, science-backed electrolyte drink mix that's changing how people think about hydration. Go to drinkelement.com/excellence to get your free sample pack when you make a purchase of any of their other products. Proper hydration is not just about drinking water, it's about maintaining the right balance of essential electrolytes. That's why Element contains the optimal ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium with zero sugar or artificial ingredients. Human beings report better energy, mental clarity, and fewer headaches when they get their electrolytes right. Sorry about the rhyme right there. Get your free Element sample pack now when you make a purchase at drinkelement.com/excellence. That's the letters LMNT. It's a great way to taste the entire rainbow of Element flavors. Again, that's drinkelement.com/excellence. Okay, now let's get back to the show. Next question is from Kellen. I've been a devoted listener to the show since the beginning and love incorporating your podcast into my high school nutrition and food science lessons. Thank you for all you do. Thank you to Kellen. My question is about supplements. With so much information and misinformation out there, it's easy to get overwhelmed. As a 30-year-old female, a healthy CrossFitter, and someone who competes in competitions throughout the year, I want to make sure I'm focusing on the essentials without breaking the bank. What supplements do you consider must-haves, not just for performance, but for overall cellular health?
Not a lot. Okay, so essentials. Assuming what we just kind of learned from Kellen?
Kellen.
Was it Kellen? 30-year-old, obviously very into fitness, talking about cellular health. She's probably doing a really good job with nutrition. I would say probably nothing. If I was to, the next layer down from that, I would, because here's the deal, essential, like essential. What essential means is if you don't have this, you lose health. Mm-hmm. So what do I think is essential? I think how you eat, sleep, train, think, and connect is essential. If you don't do one of those in line with the prescription, you can't have optimal health. If health is a house, how you eat, sleep, train, think, and connect is the roof, the floor, the ceiling, the walls, the windows. You get those 5. If you don't have one of those 5, you have some issues. Like if you don't have the floor,
you got a drafty house.
You got some issues. Now after that, like if you want to add in a marble countertop, if you want to put in some fancy faucets, if you want to put in some HVAC, but those aren't essential to a house. The other ones are. So what is essential? I would say nothing. If you're asking me about how to build a nice house, I would go, well, we got to make sure we have the floor, the ceiling, the walls, the windows, and the doors. After that, there are some things that would be cool to have, mainly like, let's get a fridge, right? Maybe a dishwasher and a washing machine, maybe, that type of thing. Some electricity, some plumbing. To me, those next level things would be 3 supplements and only 3. Because again, most of the stuff we're going to be able to get through eat real food. Mm-hmm. And it is creatine for cognitive and muscular, the benefits, both. Vitamin D, and it does a phenomenal job for hormonal balance. It actually acts as a hormone. It's a thing that will create the regulation for a lot of other things in the body to take place. And the last one would be fish oil, like a high quality fish oil. Maybe speaking of high quality, creatine is essentially like almost a commodity. Mm-hmm. Creatine monohydrate, it is what it is. It's 5 grams a day. Don't get the matrices with the no explode face pump and all the different flavorings and all the rest. Just 5 grams a day. Vitamin D, it's 5,000 IUs.
I think that's right.
Yep. You could go up to 10,000, particularly, this gets in the next part of the discussion. Let's say 5,000. And then fish oil, when you're looking at fish oil, look at the back of the label. Fish oil is probably the biggest one between high quality and low quality. You can get there's some real crap out there for this. What you want to look at is the back of the label, and it'll say EPA and DHA, acronyms for kind of the active stuff in it. And you want those 2 things to add up to as high as you possibly can. If they add up to somewhere around 1,000, that's a pretty high quality fish oil. If they're like in the low hundreds, it's crap. It's just mostly you're getting like the filler. So that's a big one. The next thing I would do is if you're thinking about like, oh yeah, but this person I really trust talked about these supplements, is get a blood test. Because until you look under the hood, I can't tell you whether you need more antifreeze in your car. I can't tell you if you need more oil. I can't tell you if you need whatever it might be until you pop open the hood and actually look inside. Mm-hmm. I can kind of always generally tell that those 3 things would be beneficial for most people, but they're not. None of them are going to move the needle the way that Instagram tells you that they will.
Right. I'll only add one more that we've talked about before, and that a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot of people don't consider it a supplement, but protein powder, if useful and if necessary. If you're the kind of person who can't figure out how to get the adequate amount of protein in it, and I hesitate only because when we've talked about it, it's like it almost doesn't fit into the category of supplements of like what people consider supplements for various reasons. But I would think that's maybe the only one I would add in there that I do myself just to ensure that I'm getting the adequate amount of protein.
Yeah, I think that's a good comment, and making sure that it would be as a kind of the same thing, making sure you wouldn't just take it to take it. Mm-hmm. You're going to take it because you're deficient. And that's kind of what goes in line with the blood test thing. Yep. If you track your macronutrient intake, how much carbs, protein, and fat you're getting, and you realize that you're not getting 0.7 grams of protein for every pound of body weight, you're essentially you're deficient. Yep. And you can either eat an extra couple eggs. You could have another serving of chicken, or you could do a protein powder, and it's a really efficient way. Not nearly as efficient as the other two I just listed, by the way.
Yep.
Protein per calorie. Like chicken is just bonkers how much better it is than almost anything else out there. But also kind of like talking about the quality aspect. If we were going to talk about protein powder, the quality, there's some real crap out there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the kind of easy ways to decipher is what is the first ingredient? Is it a protein concentrate, a protein isolate, or a protein hydrolysate maybe? The latter two being vastly superior. It should not, if it's a concentrate, there's some question marks there.
Yep.
Essentially what that's saying is less than, it's either 80 or 90%. I want to say it's 80. What that's saying is less than 80% is actually whey. Mm-hmm. It can be made up of, I think it's 4 different other things, ash and fats and even like lactose or sugars. We've had people at our gym take protein powder, switch from one brand to the next, and lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks because they were having such crappy protein powders. So it does matter, particularly if you're doing like, 50 to, 75, or I should say 2 or 3 servings of it a day. That matters a lot. And just stay away from the ones that have like, in the ingredient list is like pieces of cookie, which is a lot of
telltale sign.
Yeah.
Pieces of cookie. We're at time, but I'm going to squeeze one more in.
What? That's already time?
Yeah, it's already 20 minutes. But we're going to do one more. We're going to do another nutrition one because we've got one queued up. This is from Karida. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I would love some recommendations on how to stop tracking macros and weighing my food.
Okay, so you don't put your food on a scale before it goes in your mouth.
Done. That's how you stop.
That is honestly how you stop. Now, if she's saying, how do I stop and not go off the rails?
I think that's implied in the question. Is okay. Like, how do I continue? I'm reading into it. Jokes aside. How do I continue either maintaining where I've got or continuing to move towards my goals without having to, or without having to continue tracking macros and weighing my food?
You wean yourself off it. So meaning, if you've been doing this for a while, you probably have a really, really, really good sense of what 30 grams of protein looks like on your plate.
Yep.
Like a really good sense. You have a really, really good sense of what a serving of peanut butter looks like, which most of us do not. Most of us do not have any clue. Yeah. Most of us have no clue how big a serving of ice cream is, how big a serving of peanut butter is, what a 30 grams of protein in a chicken breast looks like.
Yep.
You do. So what is the way you get off it? Stop tracking for 2 weeks, eyeball it, and then 2 weeks later, go back and just weigh and measure for a day and go, okay, like, man, I was really damn close. Like I was really cool. Then can we go for 3 or 4 weeks without doing it? And then check back in.
Yeah.
And then can I go 6 weeks or 2 months without any, that's all it is you make instead of every meal being weighed and measured, you measure a day every week. If you're still dialed, you're still dialed. Like, and then it goes to once or twice a month, and then it goes to once or twice a quarter. And that's how you get yourself off of it without going off the rails.
I love that. 2 things. One, you went past it quickly at this top though, but it's the assumption that Karida has done this long enough that she's got a decent eyeball for these things, right? I think that's just the table stakes. You have to have done it enough that when you start the wean, you're not going from weighing and measuring everything to guessing at everything, right? Like close your eyes and guess. So I think that's worth just mentioning twice because it is really important that that's how you begin the wean. And I like that a lot. And then the second thing was just kind of funny is that I sort of did this today, not to the degree that I think she's asking for, but, and I've talked about this before, what I do most days, if not every day, is Lazy Macros, which is just EC's prescription for 800 grams of fruits and veggies every day, and then 0.7 grams per pound of body weight of protein. And so that's what I try to do, or I aim to do every single day. But one of the things that as you do this, you start to get a good eyeball, as you're saying, for these things. And so just this morning, I've realized over the last week or two, I'm eyeballing a lot of fruit. Fruit is really the specific thing, which is like, okay, a banana, apple, orange, whatever. Like, I think I have a decent sense of what that is. So I don't have to weigh every single one. But just this morning, I was like, oh, let me actually weigh this to see if I'm close. And I did. And I was 10 to 15 grams off. So I was like, cool. Now I know I can just kind of like, which is nothing.
Spot on.
Exactly.
Zero.
Yeah. But that's my point, which is I love this idea of like, okay, once a week, just weigh and measure everything again. You know how to do it. You know what you need to do. You know, it's not that big a pain in the butt, and you know the value of doing it. And more importantly, that'll get you like, oh, okay, cool. I'm on track. Or gosh, I've lost my eyeball for this. So maybe I need to do this once or twice to get myself back into that mode of being able to eyeball the breast of chicken or the whatever. And I know what I need to do. I know what I need each meal to look like, and I'm there.
Yeah, maybe just because we don't talk a ton about weighing and measuring, but just to kind of like tee this up, if people are kind of like raising an eyebrow, like, wait a minute, you got to talk a lot about like, you know, how humans evolved, and we certainly weren't weighing and measuring food back then. Like, why are we engineering? Why is food now, why are meals now a math problem? As you said, 800 grams and 0.7 grams of body, protein per pound of body. People are like, what the hell? Like, no lean caveman was ever doing that.
Scratching out on the side of the cave.
Yeah, right.
3 coconut today.
The caveman had a Mexican accent.
Is that what that was? That came out? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Mexican caveman. That's possible.
Yeah. So the reason for this is, it's what we have now is a modern problem.
Yeah.
Which is this just crazy food abundance, and where in the last 50 or so years, certainly the last 60 or 70, the proverbial they, are engineering food to be addictive. Mm-hmm. It is massively abundant. And if we don't pay attention by default, because it's in the checkout aisle at Staples.
Yeah.
Like when you go buy office supplies, you have to fight against it. When you go put gas in your car, you have to go fight against it. Like, this is weird, but like you go to Home Depot, you have to fight against it. Like, this wasn't the case when I was a kid. Our local lumber yard, our big hardware store was called Deals. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a thing of gummy bears, mini-sized Pringles, and Kit Kats at the checkout aisle of Deals. We used to go to get gas at a gas station. You got gas. There wasn't all of this other processed food around everywhere. And it just wasn't as damn tasty and addictive as, it said another way, the ease at which we put excessive calories into our bodies is a modern problem. The modern problem needs a modern solution. Mm-hmm. So we need to this is where this counting effect comes in. Full disclosure, I don't do it.
Yeah, that's why I like this question, because I was curious what your thoughts were.
I've tried it a number of times, and I just hate it. It just doesn't. I am very disciplined, but I like the freedom of being able to just go and get food. So I do it in a very different way, which is I eat super clean, but I don't. That's another way to keep your calories in count, because it's very hard to overeat calories when you're eating blueberries, carrots, peppers, spinach, and salmon. Like, it's just really, really hard to have 3,500, 4,000 calories of that.
Yep.
But if you're having modern food indulgences, it's really easy. It's like, go look at the menu at one of these restaurants. Like, everything is 1,200 calories. Like, the appetizers are 900, 1,200 calories for an appetizer. So really easy if we're not paying attention.
Yeah, I remember EC, and I forget the restaurant, but EC sent me a salad from like one of the common chain restaurants, and it was like 1,200 calories for the salad. Yeah,
that's like most,
which is crazy.
Yeah, and even if you're trying to do it well, right? Yeah. There's so much, because what their job is to get you to enjoy the food.
Yep,
that's their job. So they're going to make it tastier and tastier and tastier.
Yep. All right. Love it. I'm glad you brought that up. That is a great point because we don't talk about that too much. So thank you for that. Thank you, everybody, there for sending us your questions. One more reminder, if you head to chasingexcellence.email and get on our free newsletter list, I will send out an email on the weekends. And in that newsletter is a link to a form, and you can ask your own, and we'll do our best to get it into a future episode. We thank you in advance. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening or watching so you do not miss another episode. For more frameworks and daily practices, visit chasingexcellence.email. And don't forget to tap the link in the show notes for today's full listener guide, where we break down the key ideas and provide actionable steps to help you put them into practice. Until next time, keep building health, finding freedom, and living with your heart on fire.